Welcome to Mile High Reefers. I'm Scott Anderson, and it's time to do another reef tank update on the 24-gallon Nano. If you guys remember last time we saw this tank, it was recovering from a bit of a crash because my heater failed on. I get a lot of criticism because I've had problems in both of my tanks over the last, few months. And the reality is that's kind of how things go in this hobby. We're all limited by our own resources, our own knowledge, our own money, everything. And of course, luck plays a part into it. Me, had a string of bad luck, and my financial limitations have been playing a part. The idea of just buying new heaters every year in case one fails bugs the crap out of me. So I pushed those out over time, and of course, this time it bit me in the butt. I don't know why heater manufacturers can't design heaters so that they fail off, which would not be such a big deal most of the time, but it seems like so many of them fail on, which is a huge problem. But today we're not talking so much about that, it's how the recovery's going. So it's been a couple of weeks now since my heater failed on, and the changes have been pretty remarkable. So let's go check it out. Overall, the tank looks pretty darn good. We've got minor problems in here, which we'll touch on in a minute, but let's start with that Scopus tank. He's been in here for the better part of 2 years now, a little over 2 years. And he's about twice as big as when I put him in. But for a tank that size, that's not crazy growth rates. I mean, if this guy was in the ocean, he'd be significantly bigger. So I'm starting to rethink how long we can put small fish in nano tanks, because it really does seem like we can put them in super small, they'll grow relatively small in those spaces, and he looks healthy. If he didn't seem healthy, I'd be worried about him, but he really seems like a healthy fish. For about 2 years, this tank has been struggling with dino. And really we're down to a few patches in the sand and a little tiny bit on some of the rock work, but I'd say it's 90+% better. I will normally do a water change before filming this tank just so it looks better, because this tank for years had a cycle of get it clean, watch the dino grow, suck it out. Not anymore. This is 2 weeks without a water change, and the dino growth is really small. This little Zoa rock up front has lost the Pallie battle. You can see we got Teal Pallies everywhere. I've been working hard to get it off the main rock structure. This stuff, it's kind of invaded here. I've got a colony of King Midas in here that I think we're gonna go ahead and rip off, and we'll replant elsewhere. And then we'll just let the Teal Pallies have this rock. I like them, I just don't want them to take over. And on their own little island, we might be okay. As for where I tried to take all of the Teal Pallies off the main rockwork, you can see it's all clear in here. On the right, below the chalice, we still have about 4 heads up there. It's been the most frustrating thing, but we're winning the battle. The rest of the Zoas, though, are doing pretty darn good. I did move the blue tubs up here to the top, and we've got room to fill stuff in, so good place for some King Midas and maybe some other stuff. The fire and ice in the back continue to do well. I'm real tempted to put them on the main rockwork, but these guys grow so much faster than everything else, but they're so gorgeous. Big concern here is I've got teal mushrooms, and I just keep pulling them. As long as they're under control, I'm okay with it. So you can see we got some pink Setosa. We've got a little piece that fell and attached to where the Zoas are. I'm fine with that. Then we've got what's left of the big colony up top, and then another piece of it's fallen off into the sand bed. And the color right now is incredible. It is the brightest, hottest pink. This coral is unhealthy. This is all a result of the overheating, but it's alive, and the color's amazing, and it's just gonna get better. It's all gonna be fine. This is just part of that recovery process. If only every coral could look that amazing while recovering. Last time we looked at Hollywood stunner. It was a little rough because we had that overheating issue. Well, color keeps getting better, and I don't know if it's showing up on the camera, but this guy's got crazy fitting tentacles out. Yeah, he's doing so much better. I love this little coral. My gold leptoseris and Jacqueline on leptoseris, they just do fantastic. The gold is doing this weird plating thing down. There's really nothing for it to attach to. It just keeps growing out, and I'm getting this gold wall. It is so cool. Leptoseris, it's the most underrated coral in this hobby, if you ask me. This stuff is sick. Buy it. It works in low light. It's an awesome coral. And when I say sick, I mean awesome, not unhealthy. This stuff's amazing. It's hardy. It's easy. Get some. Now let's talk about my big Kaleidoscope Toadstool, and it's big relative to this tank. It's actually just a little frag of my big one in the main tank, but it looks fantastic over here. The color is a little different to the big tank, but here we've got more of a green base instead of a teal, and then it kind of goes from green to pink as you follow those polyps up. I love Kaleidoscope. It's one of my favorites, and really, I don't even know how you would get another piece unless you know me. It's an awesome toadstool, though. In order to put that Kaleidoscope in a couple of months ago, I took the blue tubs out, and this has really created the perfect growing position for my bounce mushroom. This is Sunkiss or Reef Koi bounce. I like Reef Koi because I know Reef Koi, he is awesome, but my Koi bounce is getting huge here. It looks amazing, and it's partially shadowed under my leather. It's just the right conditions, and it's doing fantastic. Next to it is my Lobo. This coral, it just keeps getting bigger, healthier. I find Lobo's usually a little harder to take care of, but this one's always done well in this tank. No real issues with it. Above the Lobos, my little devil's hand. This is a frag from the big tank, and it's crazy to see how much different these corals look between the big tank and the little tank. And it just looks so cool in here. It's got longer polyps, little different colors. It's just doing great, and I love leathers. That's why I keep planting more. They do good here, and they look awesome. Behind the devil's hand is my blushing leather. This is an Indo coral. I've had it for about a year now. These are fantastic. It's like a Sinularia, but it's got a deeper burgundy to it. I highly recommend these. They're fantastic. This was a wild collective one. I've had it for about a year. I've got a big piece in the other tank. One of my favorite leathers. You'll hear me say that, but that's kind of what I collect are my favorite corals. Kind of makes sense, right? Behind the blushing leathers, my long tentacle. This is a frag off of my big one from the big tank. What's crazy is, in here, it's almost completely pink, super long tentacles. Where in the other tank, the tentacles are a little bit shorter, but it's super green over there. It's really cool to see the way these corals change between tanks, but it's happy, it's healthy, it's doing great. I love it. Towards the top of the tank is my Heliofungia. This guy didn't miss a beat when the tank got hot. The only problem I'm having with this coral is it's getting too big and it's not really fraggable. Over the long term, the big Helio is gonna have to come out of this tank. They just get too big. But I'm not sure when that is. They're slow growers, but they're not real fraggable. And they get massive. When I worked for Aquametic Live, there were times I'd order these in and I'd order the largest, and they'd send me ridiculous ones, like 12, 14 inches across. They were hard to sell because they got so big. They're amazing looking corals, but they do get too big for this tank. I talk about the Helio getting too big, and here's the concern. It is just going in overgrowing my candy cane and the other toadstool below it. These guys are eventually gonna have to move. You can see we're getting direct polyp contact between the Helio, and the Helio's gonna win that battle every time. My Fiji Fabia lost a lot of color when we overheated this tank, and it's slowly recovering. It's not the color it should be, but it's getting much better. The top of it's still bleachy. You're looking at the best side of it here, but it's getting better. As we move to the back of the tank, we're gonna start losing focus because this isn't a flat, plain tank, yeah. Anyways, we're gonna lose focus, so it may be a little out of focus, but the bleached out Monte is the one that died. But as I look at it, I can see there's a little fluorescence in the coral. You can't see it, but we got polyp extension. So I've broken off most of this coral thinking it was dead, and it's coming back to life. This coral still has a shot at surviving. I did completely lose the bird's nest, but that's okay because I like my green Sinularia better, and we've opened up room for him. He should probably move a little over to the right, just give him a little more light and flow. In the back of the tank, we have encrusting green Monte Poro. This stuff was completely unaffected by the overheating. You can see it looks amazing, it's beautiful, and completely unaffected. No problems here at all. And there we have it. Really, there haven't been any more deaths or problems since the heater failed on, and the recovery has been really good. I really attribute so much of this to Hydrospace's purple non-sulfur bacteria. I'm still having a hard time believing the results I'm seeing, but I cannot believe, given my past results as to how heater failures have gone, as to how good this tank looks. So I'm gonna keep playing with this purple non-sulfur bacteria from Hydrospace. And if you haven't seen the video, watch it. It'll be linked here up in the corner, something like that. But yeah, I'm blown away. So thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next episode of Mile High Reefers.